God bless America. Hello, everybody. I am the Talk Radio Protege, and welcome back once again to the Protege program. Thank you all for joining me on this fine Thursday afternoon. I hope that you enjoy the video. I hope that when we get to the end, you'll let me know what you're thinking, subscribe, and share. But without any further ado, let's get into the story of the day. So, apparently, according to Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, Donald Trump just abandoned the wall. The issue that was the cornerstone of his candidacy, the wall on the southern border, apparently he's abandoned it and he's not going to go through with it. Now, since Chuck and Nancy have made that statement, Trump and other White House officials have come out and said, no, that's not true. We want the wall. We haven't solidified any details yet. We're still in negotiations. But Chuck and Nancy are standing strong, saying that, yes, he has abandoned the wall. He is turning on you. And the media is, of course, running with this. And it's important to understand that the media's primary objective since January 20th is destroy Trump, render his presidency impotent. Yeah, Russia has failed to work. The so-called Muslim ban, all of the hype and BS surrounding that failed to work. There hasn't been any other scandals that have come up that have succeeded. Even when Trump fired James Comey and the left flipped on their heads to support Comey in an instant, that failed even to stop Trump. So they've decided, okay, well, we may not be able to get Trump impeached. We may not be able to get him out of office before 2020. So we need to start working to separate Trump from his supporters. And the way that they've decided to do that now is they've decided to report that Trump is abandoning the border wall. They're taking what Chuck and Nancy said. They're not even fact-checking it, and they're just going to run with it. And, of course, people are more likely to believe the first thing that they hear. So when they come out and say, okay, well, Trump denies this and the White House denies this, the person that's in denial is always at a disadvantage in the eyes of the masses. You know, when someone is accused of a crime and then they deny it, well, the first thing that was in your head is that they've committed a crime. And when they deny it, well, their denial is proof that they did it, right? So Chuck and Nancy come out and say Trump is abandoning the wall. Trump and Sarah Sanders come out and say, no, Trump isn't abandoning the wall. And everybody says, well, Chuck and Nancy said it first and Trump is denying, therefore Trump is actually abandoning the wall. That's what you're supposed to think. But I want to talk about this issue in light of the deal that was made with regards to extending the debt limit. If you'll remember, the last couple of times I've talked about this, I haven't been very happy with congressional Republicans because they allowed Democrats to be the more conservative voice in that area. And I wanted to go back. I wanted to go down the memory hole back to something that Chuck said in March. This was in March. I heard that he said it also back in January, but I couldn't find that quote at this time. But the headline from HuffPost on March 26th, okay, 6 months ago, that's half of a year. 6 months ago, Chuck Schumer says Democrats could work with Trump if he ditches his hard right, which means anything right of the far left policies. You know, forget all the specifics that Chuck gives on Obamacare at this point. But as he says here, if he changes, he could have a different presidency, but he's going to have to tell the Freedom Caucus and the hard right special wealthy interests who are dominating his presidency. Democrats will certainly look at his proposals if Trump ditches the policies that have been the hallmark of his presidency so far. And what have those policies been? Rolling back Obama's executive overreach, attempting to pass some kind of Obamacare repeal, attempting to get border security and the border wall funded, and attempting to pass tax reform. All three of those latter issues of which have been foiled by the Republican Congress. And so Chuck's position is Trump has to become a Democrat in order for the Democrats to cooperate. And I just wanted to point that out because it goes to show you that Democrats are not supporting anything that Trump backs unless it is exactly what they want. You know, again, back to the debt limit deal. There were no negotiations. The Republicans proposed a plan and the Democrats proposed a plan. And Trump picked the Democrat plan. That's the extent of Trump's cooperation with Democrats, is doing exactly what they wanted. That is the extent to which Democrats will cooperate with anybody on Capitol Hill, is when it's exactly what they want. Democrats hawk compromise to get Republicans to do what Democrats want. Democrats refuse to compromise. They just don't do it. And part of the reason that they get away with it is because their policies have such tremendous short and long-term payoff. It's not ironic, I don't think, that the instant payoff for a Democrat policy is incredible. I mean, just think about the policies that they advocate. Amnesty. Whenever we amnestize hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants, the emotional payoff is tremendous and instant. People that supported amnesty instantly feel an emotional explosion because they've been so compassionate on the illegal immigrants. And Democrats get an incredible political payoff because they just registered hundreds of thousands of Democrat voters. Obamacare, huge emotional payoff. We have the people that supported Obamacare. We have so much compassion for the people that don't have health insurance. It's just overflowing. We can't even contain it. And the political payoff, again, is tremendous because we've created another welfare entitlement for, the people that couldn't get health care, whoever those people are, that are now getting freebies. It's instant Democrat voter registration. Gun control. Huge emotional payoff in an instant. We care so much about the victims of gun crime that look at all of the compassionate stuff that we did. And the political payoff is less big because it's not instant Democrat voter registration, but it is instant disenfranchisement of the American people, instantly stripping them of rights that they've had for centuries, since the signing of the Constitution. And I could keep going down the list. Tax hikes, abortions, welfare, you name it. There's one of two, usually both, instant, enormous emotional payoff and instant, enormous political payoff. And unfortunately, the Republican policies do not have those things. So the Democrats do not have to cooperate. They do not have to compromise. All they have to do is impugn. All they have to do is impugn Republican policy as uncaring. You don't want to pass amnesty for the illegal immigrants because you don't care. We don't have to talk about the emotional payoff, or the political payoff that Democrats get when we amnestize illegal immigrants. All we have to talk about is the emotional payoff that Democrat voters won't get if Republicans get their way. I really didn't want to say it this way, but all that a Democrat has to do is point to the Republican policy and tell their voters, you don't get your emotional orgasm if the Republicans pass this measure. And it's because the Republican policies don't have the emotional payoff, and they have a long-term political payoff. You know, the short-term political payoff of instant Democrat voter registration is short and long-term, because you instantly register all these people that are going to benefit from whatever measure the Democrats pass, and it's a short and long-term payoff. The short-term payoff is they've registered as Democrats. The long-term payoff is they'll always be Democrats. Whereas with the Republican measure, you have to beat the rabid leftists that so badly want an emotional orgasm that they'll support anything that you can make an emotional appeal with. And you have to beat the Democrat policymakers that want so badly to instantly register all of their supporters as Democrats for now until forever. And your long-term payoff is that you hope people will realize the good that the policies have done. You know, Reagan, for 8 years, had landslide, unmatched support among Americans, especially among the electorate. And now, you know, what are we, about 20 or 30 years later? And the left has successfully impugned everything that Reagan touched. So that now, whenever leftist talking heads go onto radio and television, they can say it's an indisputed fact that, for example, trickle-down economics doesn't work, when that's the opposite of the truth. Trickle-down economics worked so good that Bill Clinton got freaking payoffs when he was elected from trickle-down economics. Bill Clinton was supposed to be the end of the leftist Democrat Party because of how centrist he was perceived. And 8 years after Bill Clinton, we elected the most hard leftist Democrat to ever occupy the president. I feel like I'm rambling at this point, and I've really reached the end of my notes, so I think I'm going to call that good for this video. It's probably even longer than I wanted it to be, so thank you very much for making it to this point. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you'll subscribe and share. I hope you will leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are in regards to this. How are you feeling about Trump seeming to cozy up to Democrats? Do you think he's headed down the road of capitulation, or do you think that these are short-term measures meant to maybe spur congressional Republicans into taking more Trumpian action? Let me know what you're thinking either way. I hope you'll come back for the next video. I'm uploading every weekday, sometimes like I did today, twice a day. If you're watching on VidMe, please follow and maybe come and drop some support over on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, maybe check me out on VidMe, leave a subscribe. And I realize it's not vidme.com, it's vid.me/talk_radio_protege. I think I've got that link right, but it's vid.me is the website instead of vidme.com. If you watched through all of that, God bless you. You're an amazing supporter. Thank you so much. God bless America.